Our first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my parents they failed me? I, 19 female, have a strained relationship with my parents. I live with some friends while they go to college and I work full-time. I saw my parents for the first time yesterday since I moved out in June of 2019. It was awkward. I am the oldest of their 2 children. I have a little sister who is 16 now. She's special needs and has required a lot of care since she was a toddler. My parents were very good parents to her. They did everything they could to be good to her. But because I was neurotypical, I was expected to be okay with making sacrifices, missing out and becoming a caregiver. It was so hard. I didn't get birthday parties. We didn't even celebrate Christmas like other families because we had to be quiet so my celebration wouldn't upset my sister. I spent a lot of time feeling embarrassed and ashamed. I was resentful. I blamed my sister for a few years. And then I turned my anger on my parents and we would fight a lot. They didn't understand why I couldn't be more okay with not having birthday parties when I knew my sister found them too much, and they never got why I would be upset when I had to miss out on field trips, or didn't go to friends' parties, or couldn't go to a movie with kids from school. I could sometimes go to a friend's house, very occasionally, but they were never welcome at our house, and most of the time, I was expected to come home and help my mom out with my sister. I left once I was old enough to, legally. I didn't go to college for a few reasons, but I did get a job and I support myself. It's the first time I can say I have nice things, since I was 5 and got a Barbie for Christmas. The estrangement was natural. They would ask me to come back and help them, and I would ignore them. Then yesterday, I did decide to visit them after so many requests to come and help, and they wanted to tell me how crappy I was for not helping with my sister, and helping them more since they did so much for me. I snapped. I told them they weren't good parents to me. I told them I wasn't important to them after my sister was born, that I was used to make life easier for them, but my needs or wants didn't matter. I told them my childhood sucked because they stopped trying to give me one. They wanted an adult. And I told them I deserved so much better. I stormed off and came home early. My mom left a message for me telling me I was a brat for not being more understanding. Am I the a-hole for what I said? Now let's read the top comments for this post. Not the a-hole. Your sister is their responsibility to care for, not yours. You can be supportive and friendly. You can help when and how it's convenient for you, but it's ridiculous that they expect you to revolve your entire life around being caregiver to your sister. Also, you're an adult. It's normal to have boundaries between you and your family now, especially after going through years feeling neglected and being forced into a caregiver's role. I mean, seriously? What's their plan for when they need to retire from the physical aspects of attending a special needs adult? Is their eldest daughter supposed to come back home and do it like an employee? You'd be astounded at how often that is exactly the expectation. Also, it's rather common for people with a special needs child as their first child to have a second child, solely so there will be a caretaker when they're too old. It's messed up. It's very messed up. Wow, not the a-hole. At all. I get that having a special needs child is hard, but you're absolutely right. They didn't treat you like the child you were. They treated you like an adult caregiver, and you weren't. They could have done a million things to make sure you had at least a somewhat normal childhood, and they dropped the ball every time. I mean, no parties? Why couldn't sister go stay with a relative for a few hours so you could have a freaking birthday if she got so stressed? I just blocked them. They aren't sorry for their behavior and will only continue to harass you. Or at the very least, one parent could have stayed home to care for sister and send Opie to Chuck E. Cheese's with a friend or something. Not the a-hole. Okay, so maybe they couldn't handle your sister and needed your help, although even that is not okay. But that doesn't absolve them of all blame why weren't you in school trips. Your parents should have been taking care of your sister, but they used you to help themselves. In my humble opinion, if parents couldn't handle sister, that's what social services are for, to provide assistance. Not parentifying Opie and denying Opie the experiences of growing up because it's inconvenient. That was the first story. The next one is titled, Am I the a-hole for not giving my mother money to help my stepsister who's sick after she abandoned me and my brother 10 years ago? I, 23 male, and my brother, 17 male, have been living with our grandma. My mother abandoned us after my dad died 10 years ago and remarried 2 years later. Our grandma from my dad's side took care of us. Since then, our mom has only reached out to us less than 5 times. She has 2 kids with the guy she got married to. Our grandma paid our school fees and basically took the responsibility of a guardian. I, of course, went to college and finished my education and have a decent paying job. I have my own apartment where I live with my brother. Last week, my mother reached out to us. I don't know how she knew my address. Maybe my grandma told her. But she came to my apartment. Well, it was good to catch up, but she seemed sad, like something was in her mind. So she told me that her daughter had been diagnosed with a cervical cancer and they were tight on budget and needed some money to cover her medical fee. I kindly refused. She started begging me to help, saying that she is my stepsister and I'm obligated to help. I told her that she never gave a damn about us for about 10 years. She got mad and left. She told everyone that I refused to help my own mother. And our family and even strangers are attacking me for refusing to help my stepsister. I know it's not my stepsister's fault, but I don't know how I'm obligated to help her. So guys, am I the a-hole here? Now let's read the top comments. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry about your mom, she really sucks. I think you have no more obligation to help her than you would a stranger, maybe less given she abandoned you. If she really felt bad about what she did or had changed, she wouldn't have set her family and friends after you. Next time someone says something, just look confused and say, "You know she abandoned us when we were kids after our dad died? We're not really family anymore after that." Seeing as they were at their grandmother's at the time, they probably have zero interaction with the half-siblings. Opie wrote Step, but they share the same bio mom. Step would be if they were the new dad's kids. They may as well be the children of the kid you used to know 3 doors down, but were not that close with. Sure, we knew each other 10 years ago, but we were not that close between then and now. You're not meant to chuck 13 and 7-year-old children away when you get a new man, and if you do, you lose all rights to but family when they don't want to know you in your hour of need. I'd be very surprised if a child aged 8 or younger, going by Opie's timeline of dad's death and bio mother's remarriage, has cancer of the cervix though. Yeah, that was my thought, so it probably is a stepsister, since cervical cancer for a woman under 20 is like super rare. Alternately, it's a lie and Opie's mom just needs money. Not the a-hole, you don't owe her anything. Not the a-hole, you're already helping raise her son. She's already gotten more than she deserves from you. Not the a-hole, tell her she can use the money she saved after abandoning you and your sibling. And to those people in your life who are coming to you and telling you she's your mother, etc., etc., simply reply she stopped being that the day she abandoned me when I was X years old. She didn't care about being my mother then, when I was a child and needed a mother, and I don't care now. And now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for sending my mother to prison? My mother is in prison for defrauding the government for 10 plus years, which finally caught up with her. About 2 years ago, I was subpoenaed by the court to testify and ended up being the testimonial that ultimately sent her to federal prison. She has been in prison for just over a year now. As a result, we are estranged. However, I wasn't given much of a choice because my current profession has strict legal requirements that I can't risk bending or I'll lose everything. Fast forward to this past week, my maternal grandfather passed away suddenly from complications from a stroke he had 2 months ago. Everyone is sad and devastated, and it's been hard to reconcile the loss during the pandemic. A lot of prisons will grant furlough for those who wish to attend their loved one's funeral, something we already had to do back in February when my grandmother passed away. And I was the one who filled out the paperwork and was 100% responsible for my mother during her furlough. So once I received news of my grandfather's passing, I started on the paperwork but stopped because it turned out that my grandfather is going straight to cremation without a funeral or service, because that is what my grandfather wanted. And I told my family that we weren't furloughing my mother out because of the fact that there is no service or funeral. My family understood. Fast forward to today, when my sibling calls me to thank me for furloughing our mom out. Shocked and confused, I asked the obvious, "What do you mean?" Turns out, as I discovered by calling the prison, that my aunt busted my mother out of prison and falsified documents where they forged my signature and gave my contact information, and told the prison that there was a funeral and that my mother's presence was required. 1. I live in a separate province. 2. There isn't a funeral or service. There is absolutely no reason for her to be outside of prison during a pandemic, especially when prisons are virus hotspots. So I had to call the police because if caught, I could lose my livelihood, my license, and a career I love. After all, my mother didn't want to grieve in prison and has zero regards for anyone else's health and well-being. I texted everyone in my family to encourage my aunt to send my mother back to prison, or I would have no choice but to call the police and charge my aunt with identity theft and have a warrant issued for my mother. something I really don't want to do. However, my family is calling me an insensitive a-hole for not allowing the family to get together to grieve because I can't be there and I'm taking it out on them. So I called my aunt directly and recorded a call and told her if she didn't return my mother to prison by noon tomorrow, I would call the police and have them issue a warrant for my mother and have her charged with identity theft. Am I the a-hole for not allowing my family for using me to basically prison break my mother? Edit. No funeral. I double-checked with my grandfather's partner. Edit 2. Called police. Police confirm I will not face legal repercussions as I am a victim. And now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Please stop giving these people chances. Call the police, report the identity theft, and let the cops go after whoever. This is not your fault, and the longer you hesitate and give chances and worry you're an a-hole, the more likely it is that this will ruin your life. Not the a-hole, but call the police/prison now and report it. Without a prison knowing what happened, what will stop them from doing something similar again and just telling everyone not to tell you? Don't risk it. I already called a prison. My questions made the admin person very, very nervous. They emailed me the furlough documents. That's how I figured it out. On the phone with the police now. Call the prison back to confirm to them what happened/is happening. They will revoke/cancel her furlough and should be able to get a warrant for her arrest in whatever jurisdiction they are in. Given the admin person I spoke to started behaving rather cagey once they realized what happened, I'm not putting a whole lot of stock in their competence now. Hey Opie, here's a question for you. Where else has your aunt stolen your identity, if this option jumped to her mind that quickly? I checked my credit report and all that stuff this afternoon. Nothing out of the ordinary. I think my mother was the ultimate mastermind, and my aunt being in a grief-induced manic state, which I recognized immediately when talking to her, just went with it. Not the a-hole, and you should turn your aunt in, regardless. She stole your identity, forged your signature, and potentially mixed your name up in a prisoner escape. No way. She should be sharing a cell with your mother. She called my bluff, so I'm on hold with the RCMP. Next time someone fraudulently uses your name to commit a crime, don't waste time bluffing. Report them immediately. Already on the phone with the police. I wanted to give the chance to do the right thing, but nope. And that's the end of the video, folks. Thanks for coming this far. As always, leave your comments and hit like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to apologize for slapping my boyfriend when he smashed our birthday cake to my face? My boyfriend Charles, 38 male, and I, 34 female, celebrate our birthdays together. This year, I contributed a small private room at a restaurant, and we invited 11 people. 4 of them are my local friends, the rest are his family members. I wanted to celebrate a new achievement in my career and thought it would be great to splurge a little and enjoy some delicious food. We had access to the menu, drinks, and our cake. I had agreed to pay for half of the food, in addition to having rented the small space myself. The space was paid for in advance. The food was to be paid for at the end, as is typical in any restaurant. We had issues last year because I felt that he was doing low-effort things, while I always did my best to give him a nice birthday celebration. We have an income gap, but it wasn't even about money. I was making less last year, and I still made things work for him. So this year, he took care of inviting people, paid for the cake, and got me a spice rack as a present, which I loved. I made myself pretty, got my eyebrows and eyelashes done, and had my hair styled. We were told to pose and pretend to blow the candles, because I didn't want to blow our germs onto the cake. Then, we each had a picture alone with the cake. When it was my turn, I was holding the cake when he pushed my face toward it. I tried to fight it. His family started cheering, and he arched over my body and forced me to bend over until my face smashed into the cake. My friends tried to get him off me, and he resorted to plastering cake and frosting into my hair. I don't need to describe the mess because I'll never be able to end this post, but I ended up slapping him when he attempted to do it again. His mother got up and got into an argument with one of my guests. I had to cross the main floor with cake all over my face to use the restroom. When I looked in the mirror, I had cake on my neck, and my blouse had red and blue coloring that didn't come off. I had to wash my face and put my hair in a bun because it looked less messy that way. When I came back, his family were all long-faced. I told him what he did was unacceptable, and he said it was just a joke, that everybody has done that for ages, and that me slapping him just ruined my image in front of his family. I started crying and gathered all my stuff to leave. I notified him that he should pay for himself and his guests. My friends insisted on paying for their own food, but I refused, and we ended the night right there. My friends wanted to treat me to dinner elsewhere, but I wasn't comfortable with my appearance. They ended up sending me the money I spent, and that broke my heart. Charles had to pay for half of the remaining bill and got charged a cleaning fee. I still love him, but I'm clear that I'll never be able to forgive him. We talked about it, and I ended things. He's convinced that I never loved him. He acknowledged what he did was wrong, but is adamant that his family hates me for slapping him, and that it's my fault. I told him that he ruined not only our birthday, but also my way to celebrate my career milestone. I've worked very hard to get to where I am, and his behavior showed me what my future would look like. And that I'm sorry to say it, but he was so aggressive and so focused on making his family laugh at my expense that I just realized he's not good enough, and that I've lost my confidence to be seen with him in public because I don't know what else he will pull out of his behind. Important, I'm not proud of my reaction. We've never had any physical altercations. He says he paid for that cake, that he's not saying it was okay to smash it, but that it's not like I paid for everything. He wanted me to apologize to his mom, but I refused. He says his mother feels humiliated because of what I did, and that she has been struggling with mild depression for years. I didn't know, and I came off as violent. Am I the a-hole for refusing? I already blocked him. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. The reason being is that you physically resisted having your face forced into a cake. He did it anyways, and attempted to do it a second time. I don't blame you for the slap in this situation. He tried to force you again when you clearly didn't want to. If someone were trying to force my face into a cake I was holding, I would have dropped it right on the floor and walked out the door. I'd be done with that relationship. It wasn't a joke. No means no. He and his family sound like a whole entourage of a-holes. Also, I panicked a bit because I was thinking I would get my nose and passageways blocked. I have asthma. Kim, my family hates that you defended yourself when I physically assaulted you in front of them. OP, I am so glad you got out safely. Wait, she thinks you came off as violent after watching him struggle to force your face into the cake? You did right. He sounds abusive and lazy. Throw him and the whole idiot family away. I'm still trying to figure out what depression has to do with this all. It doesn't. He's just trying to make OP take the blame instead of admitting what he done. Not too dissimilar to the "look what you made me do," but because he's likely aware that OP isn't soft enough to fall for it, he's using his fragile mother as a cover to get OP to cave and apologize for something she doesn't need to apologize for. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my girlfriend at a wedding after she told the bride I used to have a crush on her? I, 27 male, was invited to a friend's wedding last weekend. Not someone I talked to every day, but we were close back in college and stayed in touch. The bride and I had a flirty friendship back in the day. Nothing ever happened, but I did used to have a bit of a crush on her. Early in my relationship with my girlfriend, 26 female, I mentioned that in passing, just one of those, haha, yeah, college was messy conversations. The wedding itself was great. My girlfriend and I got dressed up, had a couple of drinks, danced a little. At some point, I noticed her and the bride talking by the bar. They were smiling, laughing, nothing seemed off, until the bride started acting really weird around me, like distant, uncomfortable. Later, one of the bridesmaids, who I also know, pulled me aside and said, "Hey, just so you know, your girlfriend told the bride you used to be in love with her and that she should watch herself tonight." I honestly didn't know what to say. I confronted my girlfriend about it, and she didn't deny it. She said, I didn't want to cause drama, but I thought she deserved to know the history. I told her there was no history, and even if there had been, saying something like that at someone else's wedding was completely out of line. She got super defensive. She said I was blowing it out of proportion and caring more about the bride's feelings than hers. I told her I was embarrassed, hurt, and honestly kind of shocked by how casually she'd tried to stir the pot at someone else's wedding. She ended up dismissing everything I said, told me to get over it and stop making a scene. So I said screw it and left. I got in the car and drove home without her. I figured she'd find a way back with one of her friends. She knew several people there. She eventually did, but now she's saying I abandoned her, and a couple of her friends are messaging me, saying I humiliated her and that I'm an awful person for just leaving without her. I don't feel like I was wrong to walk away, but I was just super upset, and I'm starting to think the way I handled it was a bit over the top. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Completely inappropriate. You had a crush. You weren't in love. Your girlfriend completely blew it out of proportion and made the situation uncomfortable for both you, the bride, and her husband. Your girlfriend is an a-hole. This is the worst part of it. First of all, she deserves to know your history is a perplexing take. Not only because OP and the bride had no history beyond friendship, but also because if we lived in a world where we were morally required to disclose all of our personal feelings and secrets, it would be freaking shambolic, and humanity would be even more neurotic and paranoid than it already is. So just the fact that she thought she should tell this woman someone else's personal secret is beyond inappropriate. But then to do it at this woman's wedding reception takes it from inappropriate to malicious. This is quite possibly the only wedding the bride and groom will ever have, and remembering the moment you both agreed to make a life together, whether that's with a wedding or not, should be one of your happiest memories. OP's girlfriend didn't just spill OP's deepest inner thoughts, that he felt safe sharing with her no less, but she used the spillage to puke all over the bride and groom's celebration of love to each other. I'd be very hard to convince that this choice wasn't at least somewhat freaking malicious. And everyone is glazing over the fact that OP's girlfriend said to watch herself because of the crush. Why frame it like that, insinuating OP might try some creep stuff? You need to wake up. Red flags all over. This was your girlfriend, deliberately ruining the bride's wedding day, jealousy rearing its ugly head, by telling the bride an exaggerated lie about your feelings back in college. What exactly was she trying to warn her about? Like you were going to make a declaration of love during a speech? Or pin her in a corner saying, "You should have married me"? Girlfriend has issues. You will always have to wonder, what is she saying to people to keep you to herself? Thank goodness the friend told you, because you would have never known why the bride, who was your friend, pulled back. How many other friendships has she destroyed behind your back? Any other friends that you thought you were okay with suddenly ghost you? Look around. Girlfriend is a liar, blaming you for getting upset that she lied and got caught. Next story. Am I the a-hole for beating up my friend I caught sleeping with my girlfriend of 3.5 years? You know that overdone scene in movies where a character walks in on their woman getting railed by their best friend? Yeah, that was my weekend. Still shaking as I type this. I, 36 male, beat the crap out of my friend of 10 years when I saw what I saw. He didn't press charges, didn't even fight back, and said later he knows he had it coming. Obviously, I did not touch my now ex-girlfriend, 33, but holy crap did I curse her out too. Am I the a-hole for attacking my scumbag buddy? No serious hits other than a nosebleed, but the fact that he didn't really fight back is messing with my head. Like I hit someone who couldn't defend themselves. Edit. A lot of people are confused about the extent of the damage. The truth is, so am I. The shock of what I walked in on, and the speed at which it happened, makes me not trust my own recollection. Here's what I know for a fact. The nose was bleeding, black eye, but also no broken bones. No permanent damage that I know of. I also know I stopped when I realized this felt like an unfair fight. Edit 2. I realize assault is a crime and violence is bad unless in self-defense. That's why I'm here. Also, I can't believe this wasn't immediately clear, but it goes without saying. They will both never be in my life again in any capacity, barring any legal troubles I may encounter due to my loss of control. This falls under unwise but not morally blameworthy. Not the a-hole. Cheating isn't illegal. And OP is lucky to not have landed in jail. That said, can't say anyone in the same situation wouldn't want to do the same. You can't be surprised if violence ensues when you have an affair with a person supposedly in a committed monogamous relationship. You know you're messing with people's deepest emotions when you do that. Problem is that the law doesn't care. People are legally protected from assault, so unfortunately you're lucky he didn't press charges because he could have. That's part of the problem today. There is little consequence for doing really messed up stuff. Using racial slurs deserves picking yourself up off the ground. Banging your friend's wife or girlfriend deserves an ass kicking. Don't put the guy in the hospital, or then there are problems. Vandalize my car and do damage? That deserves a shot or two. When I was growing up, the thought of getting your ass beat was enough to behave. That, and not being a dirtbag garbage person. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to treat my ex's sort of girlfriend like another parent to my unborn babies and sitting down with my ex and her to lay out some facts about how things will go? At 25 female am pregnant with twins. Their father, 26 male, and I were together for almost a decade. Things seemed great at the start of my pregnancy. But then around 11 weeks in, he told me he had feelings for Amy, 24 female, who is or was friends with benefits with one of his two best friends. He told me he didn't feel like we should stay together just for the babies and that we'd work it out. I told him that was fine, but that I wasn't going to stay while he had any kind of affair, emotional or physical, with her any longer. He told me nothing physical had happened yet, and I said I didn't care if it did or didn't, because even if it hadn't, it was a yet, and if it wasn't Amy, it would be someone else. Amy and he ended up together, which came as no surprise. But then he told me he hated being away from me and regretted doing this to us. I heard him out for a week, before I made it clear that there was no going back, and we would never be a couple again. His relationship with Amy has been on and off. Even when they're off, they try to present as this united front and have wanted me to involve both of them in pregnancy stuff. Amy wanted to talk baby names with me, and she wanted us to go shopping for baby stuff together. She even wanted to do a joint shower so both of us could be celebrated. She also tried to say how crazy it was that I was having twins when she and my ex have no twins in their families, like she was counting herself and her family in that. I ignored most of those requests and communicated clearly and through text or email for anything I did respond to. But it was getting crazier with the requests, and the thing that bothered me most is that they are not stable at all, and they're trying to put that on me. They say if they were treated as a couple who were going to be equally part of the babies' lives, they wouldn't have so much trouble. My ex even said he felt like he had to be with me to be a real dad to the babies. When they mentioned her being at the birth, I knew we all needed to sit down and talk. I didn't trust my ex to be honest about what I'd say, so I told them we could meet once and talk it all out. They met me with a bunch of crazy expectations, like how both of them would come to see the babies at my house when his visitation would start. Overnights don't begin until 4 to 6 months of age in our state. They wanted all of us to make decisions, and they were thinking she could be mama to the babies. I let them talk, wrote down all the expectations they had, and then I told them they were crazy to expect all that. I said if my ex wants to be present at the birth, I'm okay with that. If they want to discuss things between themselves, I cannot stop them. But I won't be taking her advice on baby names. Discussions will be between me and my ex. I told them if they were still together when overnights began, I could not stop Amy from being there, but she was not coming to my house. I said if they were in a stable relationship and settling down, maybe we could all work together for the benefit of the children involved. But if they're on and off the whole time, it won't happen. I said I want my babies to be the priority, but that doesn't mean I'm out here looking for them to have a second mom or for the two of them to try and outvote me and push what they want. I also told my ex that if he and Amy break up for good, or if he misses the kids and wants to be around more, that it won't convince me to take him back. I told him I was serious about that and he needed to fully accept it. I brought that up because some of his body language and how he was looking at me made me feel like he was being too intimate for two people who are not a couple anymore and never will be. Amy said it was the confusion of everything, and that if I could take them as a package deal, he'd find it easier. I told her I had already explained the reality of everything. They tried to argue, but I left once I realized they weren't going to stay calm or discuss things reasonably. My ex has emailed a few times in the days since, and he told me I need to work with them instead of against them, that I'm making all of this harder than it should be, and that I should think of our babies. He said he's trying to be an involved dad. I reminded him I'm not stopping him. But am I the a-hole for how I'm handling this? I'm trying to put the babies first, but I don't think that means treating Amy as mommy number 2 and acting like this is some family unit when they can't even stay together in the 4-ish months since the breakup. Now for the top comments. Lawyer up and fast. Already done. My lawyer has helped me keep on track of documenting and saving proof of things. Insist on a parenting app that records everything. They lost their shot at normal texting when they pulled that crap. Also, while it might sound more aggressive, it's actually going to smooth out the relationship when he has legal expectations and can't just try to manipulate you. That's something my lawyer has already discussed with me, but we can only enforce that once the babies are here. My boyfriend tested me by faking an affair, then got mad I didn't forgive him. I, 26 female, have been with my boyfriend, 28 male, for almost 3 years. We've had our ups and downs but always came back stronger, until last week. Out of nowhere, he left his phone face up on the couch while he went to shower. A message popped up from a girl I didn't know. Last night was amazing. Hope your girlfriend didn't notice. Face blowing kiss emoji. I froze. My heart dropped. I felt like throwing up. I didn't say anything until he came out. Then I handed him the phone and said, "You want to explain this?" He laughed. Then he said it was a test. A test. He had his cousin text him pretending to be a side chick to see how I'd react if I thought he cheated. His reasoning? If you really trust me, you wouldn't jump to conclusions. I lost it. I told him that was emotional manipulation, not a trust experiment. He got defensive and said I failed the test by not giving him the benefit of the doubt. He's been sulking ever since, and even said maybe we're not compatible long-term if I can't understand his sense of humor. My gut says this is insane, but he's so convinced he did nothing wrong that I'm starting to question myself. Is it me? Now for the top advice. Are you sure it was a test? That sounds like it could be the lame excuse of someone who got caught cheating. Either way, run. He either 1, cheated, 2, is gonna keep doing stupid little manipulative tests to test your loyalty, or 3, wanted to make sure you'd forgive him for cheating so he can gauge how loyal to be in the future. None of those scream partner of your dreams. I don't think it was a test. Never known anyone to do that, but I have heard of this excuse before. He cheated and is a master at manipulating and lies. He had to have cheated. I don't believe him. Like, test him then. Nobody would want to stay with a partner that cheated on them. If it's an open relationship and you agreed to that, then sure, but it sounds like it wasn't. He sucks either way. If it was a test, is the outcome to see how you react if he really did cheat, and you should be okay with that behavior? I still don't think it was a test. I think he actually cheated. If this was my boyfriend, he would be gone. I'm too good to people and caring to be treated like this. I hope you feel the same about yourself. We all deserve respect and love from our partners. This guy sounds like he's mentally ill, a master manipulator, and just a terrible future husband. I would be done. My partner and I love each other too much to pull that nonsense. He's either insane and doesn't care about your feelings, or if you get hurt. Your partner should be your best friend and absolutely care about the type of day you are having, never want to see you sad or down, and help cheer you up. I would never be okay with hurting my partner. It would hurt me to see them so sad. Or he actually cheated. Doesn't matter which one it is, honestly. If he actually tested you, then he's not all there in the head. You need a loving and real man, not some mentally ill baby to be by your side. Speaking as an early 40s male, if this is the crap your 28-year-old boyfriend is pulling, GTFO. Run and don't look back. He is an immature little boy still. Don't waste your time and emotions on him. Exactly, immature, and probably not all there in the head. Find a real man who cares about you when you feel grief. Just you describing how you felt when you saw that. Nausea, your stomach dropping. If I or my partner intentionally made either one of us feel this way, it would break our hearts. I never want to make my man's day worse. It would hurt me so badly to see him upset. Same for him, he would never want to hurt me. The perk of having a partner is that you have a best friend, someone to confide in, someone who cares about your emotional being. This is not a good person. I do want to add that it's up to us, ourselves, to make us happy. I would never expect my partner to make me as a person happy, because I personally have to choose happiness. And so does he. But neither of us would ever intentionally hurt each other. Life is hard enough every day. If someone is intentionally bringing you down, then that's a bad person, mentally ill without any empathy or respect for you. Next story. I ruined my best relationship because I can't get over my first ex-girlfriend. General information to this would be, I, 25 male, met my recent ex-girlfriend, 24 female, about 4 years ago. We started dating in 2020. Let's call her Maya. It's been the best relationship I've been in so far. She provided for me, cared, and reassured me. Overall, the most important things to me was she allowed me to be sensitive and vulnerable, something I have never been able to do in any previous relationship. If words could grow a garden, I'd have an entire tulip field if it came to describing her as a person. Overall, the most beautiful soul that has ever crossed my path. She is truly the light of my life. But for some reason, I haven't been able to get over my very first high school ex-girlfriend. I don't know if it was the tumultuous nature of the relationship that left me with extremely confusing feelings. I was not loyal in that relationship, which resulted in 6 to 7 years of being on and off. I am not proud of my infidelity, and that person is no longer who I am today. I can't seem to get over her, even if I know Maya is my first love and the one I would kill for. Before anybody says anything, I have never cheated on Maya. That thought never crossed my mind. Maya has caught me searching for their socials various times throughout our relationship. I never meant any harm by it. I get curious, but I know it was hurting Maya. I had done this one last time, which resulted in Maya breaking things off with me about a month ago. We have been no contact for 4 to 5 weeks now. I miss her so much. Her daily routine was intertwined with mine. I was okay the first week or two, but the third week hit, and I haven't been able to control my emotions. I'm not here to receive any scolding, as I am doing that to myself. I truly want advice to help me through this. I know Maya is the one I want, and it pains me that I ruined this. She has blocked me on everything. What will help me move on from my high school ex-girlfriend? Why can't I? Now for the top advice. I'm not here to receive any scolding. Then what exactly are you here for? You know people are going to dog on you because you've been hung up on your high school ex-girlfriend for 4 years during your relationship with your first love and the one you would kill for. For the record, cheating doesn't have to be physical. It sounds like you were still emotionally invested in your high school ex, and I'm not so sure that if she actually did somehow pop up in your life, you wouldn't reach out to her, seeing as how you're borderline trying to stalk her socials. Advice: have better self-control and work on yourself. Speak to a therapist about your obsessive tendencies and fixation on this ex, whom you weren't even loyal to, cheated on, and treated like crap. The irony is that, after spending all those years having a very one-sided emotional affair with his first girlfriend, his next girlfriend will need to endure him having a very one-sided emotional affair with the perfect Maya. I don't want a relationship. I want to be alone. I just want to work on myself to get to a point where I can feel confident enough to reach out to Maya. I acknowledge that I need to be single for a while. I'm not going to scold you, but I will be very blunt though. Leave Maya alone and get therapy. You seem to have some obsessive tendencies that are only going to hurt her in the long run. The fact that you, after cheating on your high school ex, obsessed over her to the point of ruining your current relationship means there is something in you currently that needs a lot of introspection and personal growth. Consider your relationship with her dead. I honestly don't care how much of a different person you think you are. She deserves someone who can wholeheartedly meet her in the tulip field, not someone she has to constantly look over the shoulder of to make sure your eyes aren't wandering. She doesn't deserve that anxiety. Sometimes the cheating is due to different root problems than simple narcissism and being a pathological cheater. OP sounds like a self-absorbed, but also self-sabotaging man. He does need to seek professional help if he wants something to change. Next story. How do I reassure my ex-girlfriend of my feelings? My ex-girlfriend, we'll call her Amber, 30 female, and I, 29 male, were together for 9 months before we broke up. Before that, I was with a girl, we'll call her Caitlin, for 3 years and then another year on and off. Caitlin and I just clicked. I met her because we were both regulars at the smoothie spot I go to. I go to the same smoothie spot after the gym every day. They know my name now, LOL, or used to. My ex Amber bought me a smoothie maker when we were together, so I just use that now and add my protein and creatine in it. When I tell you Caitlin and I just had an insane amount of chemistry, 1, she was absolutely fine. I mean, people would tell me, your girl is bad all the time, LOL. What I liked most of all, though, was the intellectual and philosophical conversations we had. When we would see each other at the smoothie place, we would talk for like 2 hours before she said, "Take my number so you stop holding me up." We started dating, and I was madly in love with her. I loved talking to her, the sex, and being around her. But she wasn't the most honest person. She would lie about where she was and who she was with. I eventually found out she was cheating on me, and to my credit, I tried to give it another shot. She cheated again. Even after that, we had this on and off again relationship, and I felt like every time I tried to move on, she would come back. I know she loved me, but she will even tell you this. She self-sabotages because she's scared of the love she feels for me. So when I'm about to move on, it's like, oh no, it's really over. And she comes back, but then self-sabotages again. So last year, I started dating this girl. She lives in the same apartment complex I'm in, and I met her at the pool. I can't swim, and she joked that it's because of my muscles. It's hard to float, and was teaching me how to swim. I asked her out, and we were together for 9 months. She did so much for me. Caitlin never bought me anything or paid for anything. Even on my birthday, I paid for both of our stuff. Amber is not like that at all. She spoils me rotten. She's probably the sweetest girl I've ever met. But Caitlin and I had history. Caitlin apologized to me, and she didn't even know about Amber and how she is ready to be a wife. Not a girlfriend, but a wife. She unlearned the self-sabotaging behavior. It's not that I didn't love Amber, but Caitlin and I had the history, the philosophical talks, etc. So I needed to see how it would go, because I always felt like I would marry Caitlin. Well, Caitlin cheated again, and I realized I'm done with her. At first, I still had pictures of us on my phone even when I was with Amber, because I just thought Caitlin and I would end up together. I deleted all of them and blocked her on everything. I gave it my all, but I just don't have it in me anymore. I can sleep at night and can fully give to Amber. Amber and I still live in the same complex, but I think she's moving soon. She was supposed to move in with me at the end of her lease, and that would have been now, but 3 months ago, I broke up with her for Caitlin. But when I see Amber now, she's cold. She will say hi but is very short with me. And today she was mean. When I knocked on her door, she told me she's not going to be my consolation prize until Caitlin comes back. And to get the heck out my face with that BS. She never raised her voice at me, and she's normally very sweet. She did text me an apology message for cursing at me and raising her voice, and I appreciate that. I do want to talk to her and just express that she's not a consolation prize and that I'm all in. Any advice is appreciated. Long story short, you messed around with a habitual cheater, one that constantly lied to you, probably convinced yourself that you were in love with her due to her personality, But when in reality it was likely because she was a baddie and fine. Nothing to do with personality, but rather looks. On and off with that woman for years. Then you started dating a new woman, and things were going fine. Yet, the ex hit you up and you dumped her immediately for your cheating ex. And shocker, got cheated on again. Now, you want to go crawling back to the other girl who you dumped because someone else came along? Surprised that she is mad and not interested in what you're selling? Is it really a surprise to you that she is now cold? I hope Amber moves on. I can't in good conscience provide advice on how to win Amber back, because what you did here was underserving of a second chance. Can't be dumping people for others and using them as a placeholder and fallback option. It's gross. But the philosophical conversations, Limau. Look, at this point you just need to respect Amber's wishes and give her space. You've broken up, and you're not going to get another shot. Even if I don't get another shot, I do want to just reassure her that she was never a consolation prize, and I hate that she feels that way. The best way to do that is to respect her wishes. She told you to go away and stop talking to her. Show her that you can listen and actually do it. She also texted me apologizing, so I'm not sure if she is just apologizing about raising her voice and cursing at me, or if she wants to have a no-pressure candid conversation. So she'll be punished for doing that as a woman, because you apparently take that to mean she didn't really mean no. She said she doesn't want to talk. An apology doesn't change that. It's not a secret hint to ignore what she told you. Stop trying to violate her boundaries. Last story. Told a married woman's husband that she was sexting my boyfriend. I'm 24 and have been dating my boyfriend for about a year. He works in a smaller office where everyone is super close, always grabbing drinks after work and texting constantly. I never had an issue with it, until a few weeks ago when he started acting sketchy. He was always glued to his phone, stepping out to take calls and flipping his screen over when I'd walk by. One night he fell asleep with his phone unlocked, and I saw a bunch of messages from a woman he works with. Her name's Bree. They started off kind of flirty and escalated into full-on sexting. She sent pictures. He sent them back. They talked about hooking up but not getting caught. What really set me off is she's married. I found her Instagram and sure enough, she posts pictures with her husband and their toddler like everything's perfect. So I messaged him. I told him everything, sent screenshots, and let him know this wasn't just a misunderstanding. He was shocked and thanked me for being honest. My boyfriend lost it. He said I completely overstepped, that it wasn't my place to ruin her marriage, and that I've now made his job miserable. Some of his friends are saying I went too far and should have just left it alone. But honestly, if I was being cheated on, I'd want to know. I didn't lie. I just didn't protect someone who didn't deserve it. I would want to know too if my partner did that. Also, did you spell X wrong by accident? Or are you actually still with him? He's 100% my ex now. The second I saw those messages, it was over. I'm not sticking around for someone who hides things and then blames me for the fallout. You're a smart gal and did exactly the right thing. When you cheat on your spouse, you cheat on your kids. Hooray for you. You did the right thing by telling the husband. He deserved to know, and I really hope that you dumped your cheating boyfriend, because you deserve better. Don't listen to anyone else but your own conscience. You saved that man a lot of heartache down the road and showed him who his wife was. Thank you so much. That's exactly how I feel. He deserved to know the truth, and I wasn't going to protect people who clearly had no problem hurting others. And yeah, I'm done with my ex. I deserve someone who respects me. It was a crappy thing to do to Bree, and it is exactly what she deserved. You're not her friend. You're the woman whose boyfriend she was sexting while she had a full-on family oblivious at home. No, F her and F your ex-boyfriend. They're terrible people, and I am so sorry that they did this to you. There's no moral high ground when it comes to reacting to your partner's infidelity. It is humiliating, heartbreaking, and absolutely crushing to find out the person you love has been playing you. You did the best thing you could, which is letting her husband know what's happening behind his back. You're amazing. 10 over 10. I hope Bree and your ex never live this down.